Hi everyone. Hi, I'm waiting for Priyanka to come and then we will start the chat. I think I'd gone live earlier and then my phone got stuck, so I put it off and started again. Hi, Ishan. I'm waiting for Priyanka. Hi, Dhruv. Thanks for joining. Hi, Kiran. Nice to see you here. I'm just waiting for Priyanka to come and then I will start it. Yeah. Yeah, Priyanka is joining us now. Yeah, I've just added her. Hi, Priyanka. How are you? I'm getting cut off a bit. Yeah,
No, you're fine.
I'm
I can
fine.
see. Yeah. Sorry, did you try to add me earlier?
Yeah, I did. But I
Okay.
think my phone got stuck a bit, so I wasn't able to do it.
Okay.
Hi, looking nice, Priyanka, and we are both in yellow. Yeah.
Wait for some more
Hi,
people.
Millie. Yeah, so people are joining now. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes before we start because it just turned 4. Hi,
Yeah.
Sandhya. Nice to see you here. Can everybody see me fully? Because I'm seeing myself half.
थोड़ा थोड़ा फोन ऊपर कर. हाँ.
Now it's better?
Yes. Now
Okay.
you're fine. Yeah. That's Tirtha.
Hi
Hi.
to all the people who are joining.
So Sandhya
So,
said you, but now maybe she can.
okay, but now you can see me, right?
I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to just push it up a bit. I think the camera angle was too low. Now it's fine, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 4, maybe a little more, like 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, just 1 minute and we'll start. Nice to see all these people here. Thanks,
Yeah.
Millie. Thanks for letting me know it's fine. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Sandhya. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Kiran. Yeah. Hi, Deepthi. Nice to see you. Good evening, Ruchira. Thank you. Same to you. Yeah. Yeah, Priyanka, maybe we can start because there are 9 people already and
Sure. Let's
yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to today's session on knowing yourself. Actually, before we get into this conversation, I wanted to share with all of you how Ruchira and I decided to do this sort of Insta chat. One afternoon, we were just chatting and talking about the pandemic. And I was telling her that I'm wondering when it's going to end, what's going to happen. And we happened to talk about one major thing that this pandemic has given us, which is a lot of time and a lot of time to ourselves. And as part of that, I was telling Ruchira that when I was younger, my father would ask me, when you want to know someone, what do you do? And I would say, I'd probably start by spending time with them if I want to get to know them. And so then he said, well, what would you do if you want to get to know yourself? Uh, so obviously that meant spending time with myself. And I was telling her that I've tried to use this time to spend with myself. And Ruchira then started sharing about other ways of knowing yourself. As all of you, or most of you would know, she's a theta healer. And we will talk more about what theta healing is later in the session. You can also follow her link, which is thinkliving.in, to know more. And she began to share with me what are the other ways of knowing yourself. And I said, why don't we share this with a larger audience? So, Ruchira, would you want to start by sharing actually your own journey of knowing yourself?
Yeah. So it's interesting, actually. My journey started pretty early in life. I had childhood asthma, and I realized very early that both the asthma and the allopathic medicines that I was having were not really making me feel good. They made me feel very weak. They had a lot of side effects. I felt like I was a victim to the illness and the medicines both. So it provided me an opportunity to sort of start going within myself to understand, why was I feeling like this? So as I grew up, I questioned it, and I started gravitating towards methods which were softer, gentler, more nurturing. And I moved towards things like homeopathy. I started having organic food. But I would still say that I didn't dive deep enough because I was following, safe, expected routes in my education and my career. I did an MBA like a lot of others in India at that point, and I joined the corporate sector. And though it brought a lot of good things to my life, but I continuously, all those years that I was in the corporate sector, I felt that there was something which was missing. My life was really not complete, and I wasn't doing what my soul really desired. I went on to, by the way, work in the corporate sector for 27 years. I totally ignored my feelings, and I continued to work because I didn't know any alternatives. I didn't dive deep enough.
Wow.
And about 5 years ago, I felt very sick. I got like horrible menopause issues. My hemoglobin had dropped to 6.2, which is really low. I was on the verge of hospitalization. And my gynae at that point said that, uh, you know, the only solution now is to get a hysterectomy done, which is basically removal of the uterus. So very instinctively, I sort of knew that this is not what I wanted because it sounded very invasive.
Right.
And just about that time, I was introduced to theta healing, and that turned out to be totally transformational for me.
Mm.
So I actually, sort of healed my this menopause issues with theta healing alone, and it transformed my life in various other ways. I left the corporate sector job because I started going inwards and figuring out what is it that I want, what do I like to do, and ever since then, I've been a healer. I'm a theta healer, and I have work-life balance. I feel a lot more centered. My health is fantastic. Yeah, and I feel younger, much younger. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how my journey started, and it's still going on, I must say. Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
interesting because you said that I mean, in a sense, your journey to start understanding your starts by actually a chronic illness that you had, and you've traced it to understand, where it has taken you. Actually, I have a couple of questions, some sort of fundamental ones. I want to understand why should one know understand ourselves, and what do we mean by knowing ourselves? What does
Yeah.
that really mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, about why you should know yourself, I would start with answering it conversely, that through the absence of knowing yourself, the truth of who you are, which is so essential, is lacking. So it typically causes you to lose your sense of self, your personal goals. Uh, you end up having relationships which are not very fulfilling. Therefore, I feel that it's really imperative to discover your own personal truth, a truth that can actually create some discomfort initially, but it can give you an amazing sense of freedom. So, and your other question, Priyanka, that what is the meaning of knowing yourself? I would say that the meaning of knowing yourself is to know what your soul desires. We are often taught in childhood to ignore our feelings. Because when you wanted to do something, you've been told, no, no, don't do it. This is not how it's supposed to be done. Do it the other way. Now,
Correct.
just to give you an example, there are 5 big personality traits that people have, and these personality traits typically don't change. And they would be openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So I'm not going to go into each of them. But to give you an example, that if you're low on openness, say, and you're being told by everybody around you that, look, you've got to be more open because that's how it's supposed to be, and society expects you to be. If you do that, it's definitely going to cause conflict in your system. You may then learn to suppress your emotion of feeling safe in tradition because you generally don't have a personality of being open. And therefore, you may start doing things which are not that traditional, but it will keep creating this discomfort. Or you may learn to defend and protect yourself by being angry and defiant, which doesn't help either, because you may think that the only way of now not doing what people are asking me to do is to say that no, I'm not going to. No matter what you say, I'm not going to do it. And that typically happens because you're feeling so forced by everyone, and there's a judgment attached to it. So therefore, it's very important to know what are your traits, and then once you know them, once you recognize your traits, then you need to gently assert them, very lovingly and gently tell the people around you. And that communication is very important, to tell people, your loved ones, that look, this is what I'm about, and also, I guess, listen to what they're about, and it's a two-way street. So once you
Right.
know yourself, it can help in attracting or gravitating towards traits and people who are compatible with you. And eventually that can help you lead a life you love, and similarly, the people around you can lead a life that they love. Yeah.
Right. So I actually have a question, and I will ask based on what you said. But I think you mentioned that there's something called a download that you want to do for the people who've logged in. Do you want to tell us what a load is and then actually do those downloads?
Yeah, so people who have already been exposed to theta healing, I think already know what downloads are. For the ones who don't know what theta healing is a meditative technique where we delve into the subconscious of a person to understand what is driving them. And typically, there are belief systems which are deeply rooted in your subconscious mind. So just to give you an example, if you believe that I have to work very hard to make a living, you may overstress yourself, you may end up working very hard, and that's how you're going to be driven. But you can actually make a living while having work-life balance and nurturing yourself, looking after yourself, not overworking. So once we delve into these belief systems, we can know what are the belief systems which are serving us and what are not. So if they're not serving you, then we make a change to it in the theta state of meditation. And the change is
Right.
instantaneous. So that's what downloads are, that we download the subconscious. It's a suggestive method. You download the subconscious with this is what I want to feel like. And when I'm
Right.
doing the downloads, if you say yes, because your free will is very important, they will get downloaded for you. If you don't want it, you don't resonate with the download, you can always ignore it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do some downloads now.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you want to know what it feels like to be in touch with yourself?
Yes.
Just keep saying yes, and you will receive these downloads. To be in touch with your emotions, to accept them,
Yes.
to nurture your emotions,
Yes.
to validate them,
Yes.
and be able to communicate them gently to the people you love.
Yes.
Be understood and be able to understand the people in your life.
Yes.
And attract your compatible soulmates and soul family.
Yes.
And that it's safe to, it's possible to do all this, and you deserve it.
Yes.
Beautiful, lovely. For all those people who said yes, that's brilliant. Did it freeze? Sorry, did
I
something
think somebody
happen?
listening to us also said yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Ruchira?
Yeah, I can hear you, but something has it
So
frozen or something because I can't see the comments. Hmm.
there is a question from the audience. This is actually by a friend of mine called,
Yeah.
and is asking a question. Replace an idea with another in the subconscious. Does it take time?
Oh no. So there are different ways of doing it. So in theta healing, it doesn't take time at all because just like what I did just now, your subconscious actually accepts it immediately, and you can see the changes immediately. And you may see yourself falling back into old patterns, but when that happens, you just remind yourself that that I've changed it. That this is how I want to feel now. So in theta healing, it's pretty quick, but there are other ways of doing it as well. Like, for example, people do affirmations. You can say the affirmation they say about 20 days in a row. And so those can take a bit of time, but theta healing, it happens immediately.
Great. Osama, I hope that answered it. And if it didn't, you can always get in touch with me. So Osama is a friend of mine from London, and he works
Okay,
there.
nice.
Okay, so something that I had before when you were telling us about what it means to know yourself. So I want to use two examples. My first example is, what if I identify that I'm feeling angry? Okay, but my anger has been by someone else. Then how does knowing myself help? Because I'm feeling angry and it's caused by someone else.
Right. So Priyanka, you have to ask yourself, even if the anger has been caused by someone else, as to why it's making you angry. What about it is making you angry? Okay. Every feeling that you have has a lot to do with you. And so ask yourself, what about it triggered you? Is the anger temporary or is it chronic? Because some anger is bound to happen, and you have to allow yourself that. But if it is chronic anger, that a person or a situation is causing you anger all the time, then you need to question yourself and say that what is A, triggering me? The other is, why am I staying in that situation? So we often attract life experiences that make us learn from them. Your subconscious is very smart. So it attracts experiences that it thinks you're going to be able to learn from. So for example, if you have to learn acceptance of people, then it will make you attract people who are difficult. So that you learn to accept them the way they are, right? So, but I'm assuming that you don't want to learn it the hard way. You want to learn it the easy way. So that's where we make the changes. So a belief system which says, so your subconscious is making you do that because you may have a belief system which says that, I need to have difficult people for me to accept them in my life. And but you can change that to saying that I can have compatible people and still be accepting of all kinds of
Right.
people. So that happens only once you go within and understand these belief systems and understand yourself, because all these belief systems can come from your genetic memory, from past lives. They can come from collective consciousness. So if you don't understand where they're coming from, you won't be able to make a change. So which is why knowing yourself is very
Right.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's saying is there's a lot of stuff we've already told ourselves and which we've either forgotten or know how to access to change them. Right.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So my second
Absolutely.
example was, one was of course about feeling. The other is, let's take the example of a child who finds doing homework very boring. And if I use what you're saying is that they feel bored and they don't want to do the homework. So should a parent indulge the child and say that, oh, this is feel and this is your true self, so you don't need to do the homework? So I mean, I don't get, like, can you explain that?
Yeah, so this is a dichotomy that a lot of people face about honoring your feelings. Like what I said earlier, that you have to understand what you're feeling and honor them. So there can be questions like the child is saying that right now I'm feeling I don't want to do the homework, so should I do it? But the point is that there are certain things which are important, and obviously you can't have a child not educated. So, but then you need to actually dig deeper. You need to understand, why is the child not wanting to do the homework? So you ask the child what they're feeling. That's very important, because typically when a child says, I don't want to do this homework right now, the parent will say, no, but you have to. You have to submit this tomorrow. There is no choice. Please sit down and do it. But instead of that, if you can say that, okay, what are you feeling? Why don't you want to do it? So the child may say that, look, it's very boring. Or the child may say that, it is, I don't feel adequate. I don't feel good enough because it's too difficult for me. That subject is difficult. So once you
Right.
know what the feeling is, then you deal with it accordingly. Then you have to, of course, validate the feeling. You have to say that, oh, I'm sorry you're feeling like that. And then you have to do something about it. Because if the homework is boring, you can make it exciting for the child. And if the child is feeling inadequate and saying that, it's too hard for me, then you can make it easy for them through different means. So Priyanka, I'll give you an example. Like when we were growing up in our generation, people didn't know what dyslexia was. And
Right.
if a kid had, and so nobody would get diagnosed with dyslexia. So what would happen is that if a child was not good at math, they would be written off literally. And they would call them duffers, and they would say, you can't get it. But actually, the fact is that if the child has an issue and can't understand math, there are different ways of teaching it, not, conventional ways, something that they may not understand. So you can use pictures, you
Right.
can use objects and teach them. And it has been proven by science that even though people with dyslexia can't learn the conventional way, but they can learn it in other ways. They can learn math.
Yeah.
So there could be different ways of teaching
Yeah.
them. So you need to delve into, what the feelings are, and then find the solutions from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because identifying the feeling also helps take corrective action, So rather than saying you have to do this
Right.
because you have to submit homework, you find other, and you still have to submit that homework, but you find other ways of doing it rather than saying ki, there's no choice. So I think that's one
Right.
layer
Absolutely.
this
Yeah.
exercise to cover.
Yeah.
One question I'm thinking is that isn't this uh, a selfish exercise? So, for example, getting to know yourself at one level is fine, but we live in a society, we're codependent on each other. You have to adjust, you have to accommodate, you have to sort of sometimes say, Ki, it's okay, I'm feeling like this, but I have to do it for the other person. So, what about that? When does it become an indulgent exercise and when it a joyful exercise?
Yeah, that's a very important question, Priyanka, because people often say that if I delve inwards, I spend too much time knowing myself and indulging myself, I can become selfish. Uh, there's only one answer to that: no, you won't become selfish. One sec, actually, before I proceed, hi, Namita, and if anybody has questions, you can write them and we can answer them for you as well. So that you're not selfish when you are diving inwards. How will you help someone if you don't know what you are about? If you don't know how to help yourself? So Buddha, for example, had to go inwards to be able to help mankind. So knowing yourself doesn't mean not thinking of others. The two can coexist. Would you rather do for others by suppressing yourself? Or would you rather do for others while being fulfilled yourself? So one can lead to
Right.
resentment and the other can lead to joy. So when your cup is full, it will overflow to help others.
Oh, that's very nice. That's a very nice way of putting it, that one leads to joy and one leads to resentment. So you may continue to help someone with a lot of resentment, and that's naturally not a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ruchira, you've explained to us what means, why it is important. Tell us what are the ways and methods to get to know yourself, because generally when someone says knowing yourself is a good exercise, for me it's rather vague and broad. I feel, okay, tell me, what am I supposed to do? So methods and ways that you can share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first I would say is there are many, many ways of doing it. And I think they should all go in consonance together. The first I would say would be a conscious inward orientation. Okay, individuation actually. So what happens in that is you start identifying your feelings, thoughts, needs, actions, wants, perceptions, as separate from your family and others, because often how we think, what we do is dictated by your conditioning, how you've been brought up, because your family has been thinking a certain way, your near and dear ones have been thinking a certain way. So you have to separate the two and say that, okay, I have been doing all this because this is how I've been conditioned, but is this really me?
Yeah.
So you need to literally rediscover yourself. This is a process that ideally should have naturally happened when you were growing up, but it is okay if it's not happened. You can start it now, and you can do it consciously for yourself. You can put in the time and energy towards your nurturing, because your tendency may be to go into denial and externalize yourself. When I say externalize, not thinking about your feelings, but looking at what the environment has got. If you're not feeling good about something, you'll start saying that person behaved that way. So that is
Yeah.
externalization. And denial is totally ignoring your feel. Like I said that, I totally ignored the fact that I didn't really want to do a corporate sector job, but I kept doing it.
Yeah.
So denial can be by way of either total repression, or it can be by minimization of your individuation. Okay. Now there are many reasons why this minimization happens. The first one is shame. Okay. It can keep you from knowing yourself. There's unconscious internalized shame which happens from childhood. So to give you an example, if you were very curious and you asked a lot of questions, you were probably made fun of, or some derogatory comments were passed on your performance, or you were called lazy, clumsy. And often parents don't realize, they do it very unconsciously, but they don't realize what it's causing, because that's how they've been brought up. Okay, so shame can
Right.
also happen when you're being labeled. When you get labeled as, oh, she's like that only. So that's when shame can happen, and that can actually keep you from going into your feelings, right? The other is lack of courage, because you may have a fear of not being accepted, because you're looking around you and you're seeing that there are certain kinds of behavior, certain kinds of attitudes and traits which are accepted by the people in your life, and you may feel that if you're not that way, then you're not going to be accepted. So your need for acceptance can cause you to be your inauthentic self. The third is that people tell you, your parents could have told you in childhood that, don't be selfish, do for others. It's nice to do for others, but not at your expense. Okay. So what happens is that you start organizing your thinking and behaviors around others and your external environment. So therefore you feel responsible for other people's emotions. So when someone you love blames their misfortune or anger on you, often you go into self-doubt about it, and you start apologizing as well. That's how deeply ingrained it is. The other could be that you feel that you need to prove yourself for love, that you have to be a certain way to be loved. Okay. So you would have been told, be a good girl, do well in studies. So you feel that you have to live up to that, to be loved or liked by the people in your life. So even in cases where there's no apparent pressure, where you have not been told to be a certain way, but if you're only appreciated when you achieve or do something which they approve, that can also give you the feeling that I have to only do this and I can't be anything else. Okay. There's another reason why individuation becomes a problem, which is emotional needs. Because in most families, physical needs are often talked about, taken care of, but emotional needs are not part of the narrative. It's not just emotional needs, but even spiritual, relational, emotional, all those needs actually are not part of the narrative. So you're told to brush your teeth, have a bath, do your homework, all that, but somewhere the people are not talking about that. Okay, what is it that your soul desires? Are you communicating effectively to the people in your life? Those kind of things. So parenting can be very focused on the functional stuff, and parenting also, I feel, is focused on making you the best engineer, best designer, best dancer, best musician. But is it nurturing you to be a lover, to be a wanderer, to be a disruptor, a creator of any kind, an adventurer, a searcher, a listener? Does it do that? Can you hear me? You can't hear me, Priyanka? Oh, I can't hear you too. Is it just Priyanka or nobody can hear me? Priyanka, can you ask if others can hear me? they can hear. They can hear me. I think Priyanka, your video may have stopped. I think Priyanka has frozen probably. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to continue. I think Priyanka is frozen, but let me complete this answer since everybody is, here. So, and the second thing is in knowing yourself is to start journaling your feelings, your wants, your needs, your aspirations. Ask yourself throughout the day, what am I feeling? Tune into your body, identify sensations and inner feelings. We often don't stop to think that, okay, my body's feeling stiff right now. Why is it feeling stiff? And there could be like some great answers lying within as to why it's feeling stiff, because it's feeling unloved, it's feeling stressed. And once you know that this is what it is, then you start naming your feelings and you put names to it. Now in childhood, actually, again, we have not really been told all kinds of names for emotions. We have a very limited vocabulary, and that happens when we are doing healing for people as well. When you ask them that how did that make you feel, they will say that made me feel bad. Now the feeling bad is not really telling you how the person is feeling. So try to verbalize in terms of appropriate words by saying that are you feeling small, are you feeling worthless? And often people would also say that I'm feeling angry. Now, anger typically is a secondary emotion. Why? Where is the anger coming from? So, are you feeling hurt? And that's where the anger is coming from. So, it's important to identify and name the feeling, because if you don't know what the feeling is, hi, Priyanka. Sorry, Priyanka just said hi. Yeah. So if you don't know what the feeling is, you're not going to be able to take care of it. The fourth thing would be to communicate the feeling, to communicate what you're feeling to the people you love. And I won't say that go around communicating your feelings to just about everyone. One second, I need to add Priyanka back. I think she's not there now. Okay. Actually, Priyanka, I'm going to just add Priyanka back. She's wanting me to add her back. I think I have to remove her and then add her back. Just give me two minutes. I'm going to just do that for her. For some reason, I'm not being able to get Priyanka back. Priyanka, I think the screen is stuck. I'm not, because Priyanka, I think the screen is stuck for some reason. I'm trying to remove you and add you back. I'm not being able to remove you. I'm saying remove Priyanka, but it's not removing you, Priyanka. Yeah. Because the screen is stuck. Priyanka, actually, I'm not being able to do it. Okay, so I'm going to then Okay, so should I just, okay, can I just end this and can you all log in back? Because I will restart the live and then Priyanka can come on. Is that fine by everyone? I'm going to just end this and restart. If you say yes, then yeah. So no, I was wanting to actually end the chat and then restart it. Okay, I'm going to just end it. Just log back into the live. Just yeah. Okay, great. So I'm ending this and restarting so that I can have Priyanka back. Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience.